Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for coming on the podcast. I've been following you on LinkedIn for a few months now. I love seeing your posts, very inspirational, and I'm very happy to have you on here to have a chat today. I guess the first thing I want to know is who are you and what do you do?
Right, so I'm Lucy Barkas, and I founded a company called 3WH 6 years ago. I'm actually celebrating my 6th birthday today.
Congratulations.
Which is great. But yeah, I run a leadership and team development company. So essentially I work with leaders who have got multiple levels within their organisation, and they're trying to get alignment around their business strategy, trying to get everybody rowing in the same direction whilst having a bit of fun and enjoying the experience to ultimately get results.
Yes. I've been in companies where we've had great management and also bad managers too. Do you experience much friction?
Oh yeah. To be honest, what I tend to see is more accidental managers. So they're the ones who have been promoted because they've been good at their current job or that they're a subject matter expert. They get promoted because they can, pass the interview. But they have very little management experience. They've never been trained, and it's almost as though they go into the job and they're just expected to know what to do. But then accidentally turn into really bad managers, and they don't mean to. They want to do a good job. So yeah, that's where the friction comes because they don't mean to do it, but they end up making a right mess.
Yeah, no, it's so common. Especially like you say, people who have been doing. For example, I was doing customer care at the time. Some people who were great at customer care were also very aspirational, so they wanted to go for line manager or group managers. But then and then some of them come down on you like a ton of bricks as soon as they get the power too. So I guess it's like a minefield.
I do think there's a little bit of the ego going in there as well, especially if you've been promoted amongst your peers. So promoted within company, they're like, well, how do I differentiate myself between the role I used to do and how people used to see me? So they almost become a bit tyrannical until they settle down. But actually all you're doing is disengaging everybody and losing respect. So yeah, one of the things that I do is to help organisations with their talent development. So as they're coming up and they're progressing, they're actually learning those skills as they go. So they hit the ground running.
Right.
Because otherwise, it's really sad, but they're setting themselves up for failure.
Yes. Yeah. So what are some of the sort of techniques that you'll use to bring people into alignment and to sort of make sure that the managers and the other employees are sort of happy and moving towards the same goal?
So one of the things that, I tend to follow my own methodology. So I've got a 5-step methodology. And the first thing I do is I work with the leader to get really clear on, okay, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what's the strategy? So once they get that really clear, they're able to then communicate it to their people.
Yeah.
The next part of it is what I call myself. So it's learning, for the leader to then look at, well, actually, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What am I passionate about? How do I show up as a manager? And what they're good at, we play on. And obviously, where they're not so good, we either develop it or we help them to delegate those bits to their team.
Right.
And then eventually, we then start working with my team. And one of the great tools that I use it's something called a team charter. And a lot of people roll their eyes at this point. But actually, it's so fundamental because it's a case of you get a sports team. If you don't have everybody understanding what's my role, what's my responsibility, what are the rules of the game, and what's the outcome that we're trying to get, everyone's just going to be running around all trying to be the showboater.
Yeah.
And actually we need them to be a team. So that experience of using this team charter means that everybody is actually engaging. They're putting their thoughts, their wants, their needs, their ideas through. So that's one of the things. And you can Google, team charter to get some really great templates for it. But from the leader's point of view, the most important thing that they need to do is to listen. So they're not coming up with all the answers. They're asking their team, how do you want it to be? So they set the direction of what we need to achieve, and then they get their teams to come up with, well, how are we going to do it?
Right.
And that also includes the goal setting. So again, I'll set you your annual or your monthly goal, but it's up to you as an individual to work out how you're going to accomplish it. It's really empowering.
Yeah,
so there's some of the steps that we go through.
Yeah, it gives them some autonomy as well in that.
Totally, and that's what we very much see a shift to in the 2020s is very much more autonomy, because people don't tend to be doing repetitive tasks. We do multiple roles every day. We've got different hats on. We're coming up with creativity and innovation, solving people's problems, and that to happen we need to activate the human brain, not the systematic. So we need to empower people. We need to make them feel passionate and purposeful about what they do. And it's basically just human-to-human relationships.
Yeah, I think those kind of things actually, the loss of the connection is why I actually left the company I did leave when I started my business, because I did feel disenfranchised. So like you say, yeah, I think in 2020 it's a very good opportunity for people to really have a look at where they are and what the situation is. When you do this, do you see change instantly, or does it sort of maybe take a few weeks, months, or I guess it changes each time?
There's always a shift straight away as light bulb moments go on, and when people start realizing that they are as much as the process as everybody else. So if the leader is completely behind it and completely supportive and really wants to evoke change, then they become the trailblazer and the biggest influencer. And that then gives courage and hope and inspiration to everybody else to lean into the process.
Yeah.
If the leader, though, is being forced on one of my programs and they're going to drag their heels and be skeptical, actually change is really, really slow. And it's kind of like you said, you left the company because you felt disengaged. The old adage that people leave their boss, they don't leave the company, is absolutely true.
Oh, right,
so, yeah, the rate of change really comes down to how engaged and motivated the leader is for the change.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some fantastic bosses at the same company as well. In fact, they the first one I had was so good. He really inspired me and made me feel like I could do more. I was like, "Are you sure?" And he was like, "No, you're a gun at this. You're brilliant." And he helped me. I was doing SEO, and he helped me do competitor analysis. And then I started doing. I started to actually launch the online reputation management part of the company.
So I got.
He believed in me, absolutely right, yeah. I think that really goes a long way for everybody. It helps people believe in themselves too, which is obviously paramount.
Totally. I've always, one of my core beliefs and what drives me is that I believe that everyone can achieve their full potential, but with the caveat that they are in the right environment and they have somebody who believes in them a little bit more than they believe in themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
When you put all of that together, people just fly. And, the other thing that I say to a lot of leaders is, if they're doing all the pushing, all the driving, it's exhausting. Wouldn't it be amazing if they could get everybody in their teams to be hungry and passionate? And then you're like standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yes.
Your success is their success and vice versa. It's a beautiful thing. And that's why I said it's about the experience of it, because everyone comes to work really engaged and they can't wait to get to work and be with friends. Yeah. People who they genuinely want to hang out with and people they genuinely care about.
Yeah. I'm just reminiscing when I started this and I had that great manager. I actually, for the first time, I actually didn't really like the weekends that much and was looking forward to Monday, which was such a crazy shift really for me and for a lot of people who I guess find this. It is strange that you can actually enjoy a Monday in that respect.
Absolutely, and I think I wrote on LinkedIn just last week that I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, follow your dreams, be your own boss, be an entrepreneur," and I was challenging that to say, "Yeah, we want them to be like that, but wouldn't it be amazing if you could create an organisation and a business where people had that drive and that motivation themselves? Because not everybody can be an entrepreneur, and not everyone can be the leader.
Yeah, it can be lonely."
Oh, yeah, hugely. That was one of the biggest challenges I felt, especially when I first started out. just how lonely it is, and especially if you're an extrovert like I am.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Definitely. So what sort of inspired you to branch out on your own and to really, go full guns blazing?
There were two different things that were happening in my life at the time. So one of them was that I'd built, well, it's scary to say it, but about 20 years worth of leadership experience.
Right.
And I wanted to, share my message and help more people. So it was kind of like this, me stepping into my purpose. The other thing was that I got a huge, big, fat redundancy check. So that really helped. So I'm not going to lie to you. When I set out, I thought, this is my time. I've got a year that I can be self-funded. I'll give it a year to give it a go. And actually, within a couple of weeks, I realised that there was no looking back. I don't think I could do anything else now other than work for myself.
Yeah, I completely
agree.
But
I've got to say, in those early days, yes, I was very much alone. I was doing lots of one-to-one coaching. Now, what I do is I partner with companies and with leaders, and I work with them for probably about 12 months. So I almost join their team, so I've got the best. I make the decisions. I choose who I work with and what hours I work.
Yeah.
But I still have that, that team approach, which is lovely.
Yeah, you get to monitor it and see it grow and see the changes implemented.
Yeah, because I get emotionally invested in their success also.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm in it completely. And when the contract ends, all of us, we all feel a little bit sad. But all great things come to an end eventually.
Yeah, they do. So what, do you have 2 or 3 of these going on at the same time, or does it really change? Or
no, I generally onboard one big client or one program every month.
Yeah.
So at any one time I could be working with 12 different companies. And the reason why I only onboard one is because I really want to give it my absolute full focus.
Yeah, makes sense.
And onboarding them, it takes a while as well, because we need to really do that diagnosis of what's really going on, what are the blocks and the barriers, and take people through the change journey, because we've all been places where they bring in a consultant and here's another one. And I don't want them to feel like that. I want them to feel like I'm part of the team and I'm just another element of the team. So I work with so many different companies. At the moment, I'm working with a power station in South Wales. Oh, yeah. I'm working with a GPS company over in Herefordshire, an engineering company that makes bits for aeroplanes up in Rotherham. So, wow. I'm here, there and everywhere.
That's great.
Because actually, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. People are people. Yes. We're all still the same.
Yeah, definitely. We all are. Yeah. Wow. So I gather from obviously what you do that you have a broad range of interests, and you find motivation in a lot of things. Are there sort of certain things that really motivate you and inspire you?
Well, for me, there's very much about continual learning. So every opportunity I have, I want to keep on developing myself, learning more. So if I'm not working with a client, I'm probably listening to podcasts, I'm reading books, and I'm getting all infused, and then I can't wait then to relay that in my words with my clients. Right, yeah. But each and every client I work with, whether it's on a one-to-one coaching or whether it's part of a program, the client teaches me as much as I teach them. It helps me to see things through different lenses. So that's my inner drive. Yeah. That's what gets me up every morning. How am I going to learn? How am I going to develop?
Okay. Yeah. No, it is great. It's great hearing this. So I understand that you've done quite a few different things. You've done, you're a speaker, an author. You've worked at the Worcester University too.
Yeah.
You've written. Have you written a few books already? This is your first book you're coming out with?
Well, I've co-authored a book which was in 2017, which is part of a series called The Fit for Purpose Leadership, which is a lovely series because that one, it's kind of like each chapter is a new take on leadership, where you can basically just leave it in your canteen or take it with you and read over a cup of coffee. So 1,500 words. So I contributed to that, and it's a great club to be part of.
Nice.
But my own book with just my name on it is coming out in March, and it's called Leader X, and it's really speaking to Generation X and the Zennials. So basically, if you were born from about 1968 to about 1985, you grew up in a very different world. You think differently. Engagement, employee satisfaction, human connection, it just is the way that you do things. And there's also something there about having a bigger purpose. So it's thinking about your corporate social responsibility and the impact that you're going to have. So my prediction is that as the boomers all start retiring over the next decade, the next level of leadership, the new leaders with a new mindset, new core values, are all going to take hold, and it's going to change the way we live, we work, the way we think about solving some of the world's biggest problems. So the book is really a call to arms to say, right, come on, now's your time. We need you. We need a different style of leadership. And then it takes them through my 5-step model to say, and this is how you do it. And there's quite a few funny stories because I reminisce on my 80s lifestyle and what naughtiness I got up to in the 90s and how it shaped me. So there's quite a lot of my personal stories in there.
No, that's great.
So that's what I'm up to in the world right now.
That sounds very exciting. I was born in '82, so.
You're a Zennial then.
I am a Zennial, yeah, but thrown amongst the millennials, but very much with a Generation Z mindset too. I'm a bit of both, I'm like all of us.
Well, what's really interesting about the Zennials, you see, this because it's about a 5 or 6 year group, and we were the generation that we still went out and played on our bikes and mucked around with our friends, but we were the first ones who really did have technology as our best friend. So we had the Nintendos and then the PlayStations, but also we were formed in a very different time because a lot of our parents were out working. So we became very autonomous and self-sufficient, and so we found our family through almost our tribes, through our friends and our culture.
Definitely.
And that's exactly what we're then bringing into the workplace. But equally, we're very Z-like because we are the parents of Gen Z as well. So we're seeing this new generation come up and we're like, I get you. You think like me, but it's no surprise because we've raised them.
Yeah.
So it's
and
a
raised
very
in a different
interesting
way,
time.
like you say. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was reading a post yesterday about the latchkey kids and that era and stuff. Yeah, it's very it resonates with me a lot. Yeah, but obviously so does the Millennial and Z. So it's nice that you're sort of bringing them all together.
Yeah, and that's part of why I think actually this next decade is going to be so impactful with this kind of leader, because they are actually the bridge, because they were mentored and parented by the boomers, so they get them. They've got an awful lot of respect for them and know how they work. They obviously get their own peers, but they've mentored themselves and coached and developed the millennials, so they get them. And now as we start seeing the first of Gen Z, who are now 2021 coming in, like I said, they totally get them. And because they are developers of people, they're not trying to tell people how to do stuff. They're trying to say, look, you've got the answers, you know how you work, I'm going to believe in you. So I'm really excited for the next decade. I think amazing things are going to happen. And we've already started seeing some of these kind of leaders stepping up into politics. They're not quite there yet, but they're starting to give out these really positive messages about a different world and how we can do things differently.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the change. And it's a very exciting time over the next, because it's the start of a decade as well. I think people are looking beyond the year as well, which is a nice thing. So
they're setting almost resolutions for the next decade, and they're imagining, what do I want it to be like in 2030, because the world can't be like it is right now.
That's right, a real vision this time.
Yeah, exactly. And when I talk to a lot of people, I say, what's your vision? They really struggle with it, but when I say, what do you want to achieve this decade, then it becomes so super clear.
All right, okay.
And especially when you say, what do you want to change? What's got to stop or be different? They can name that really clearly.
Yeah.
So if you don't want it to be like this, what do you want? They're like, I get it now.
People know what they don't like. That's
why my coaching skills come into it, to tease that out of people's minds.
Yeah, I think it's very important. It's I spoke to another mindset coach as well, and it's every time I hear it, it's very inspirational. I've always liked listening to podcasts and learning from people, and if I went to a talk or any meeting of minds, basically, I love to hear other people's views.
Yeah, it inspires you to be better, to think differently. And I think this is where the shift is happening, that we actually are listening more. It's not about just giving our opinion, which millennials often get berated for, about all having opinions.
Yeah.
But that's great. Listen to their opinions. Tap into it, because it's giving us all information and different perspectives. And you've just got to always have that mindset that anything is possible if you just put your mind to it. Anything is possible if you just believe.
No, I definitely agree. I started to believe that when I left my job and went through my journey. And for me to see it, I mean, obviously seeing is believing. You know, I always promote doing your own thing and, you know, following your dreams, because if you can't be yourself, no one's going to be yourself for you. I think that's why millennials as well, also, they do have a lot to say, simply because a lot of people haven't listened to them. So when they blurt it out the first time, it's important, as you say, to listen to it so that they can then listen to you. And I think it calms down after that. But people are so pent up a lot of the time. They need to just blurt it out and scream.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like understanding, well, they're passionate or they're frustrated or they're angry. What's at the heart of it? And that's why it's really important to listen and ask loads of questions. So one of my mantras is listen to understand, not just to respond. Take a moment to say what's really going on here, and then ask questions for which you have no answers. So you just be quite playful and say, well, why, or what's in it, or what does that really mean? Because we all, like, you know, it's just human nature to have that inner dialogue going on and thinking about how to respond and catching it and just saying, actually, I'm just interested in you right now.
Yeah.
And the other thing is to then just remember that as the leader, you can canvass all of the opinions and all of the ideas, but ultimately you decide on the direction. And so I'm not a fan of getting everybody to agree, you know, and consensus, because I think that whittles everything down. But being informed and getting everybody's opinion makes really, you know, impactful decisions.
Yes, yeah, that's what I respect.
It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed the last thing you said. Sorry.
I said it takes a lot of courage to do that, because you know that if you've asked somebody their opinion and then you choose to go a different route, it might upset them, but you're doing it for the right reason. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I respected my managers who have done that in the past, who didn't really go with us, but you know, sometimes it worked out for the best, and you know, you have to respect that, definitely.
Yeah, and it's about staying in your lane as well, and knowing what your actual role is. And so you could be the manager, and the manager's job is to get stuff done. But the role of the leader is to inspire, to make great decisions, to push a little further, to make the world a better place. And it is about being a little bit maverick. So sometimes you do have to make those tough decisions. But as long as it's attached to your vision and you're still trying to take things in the right direction, then people aren't really going to argue with you. They believe in you. That's why we have leaders and we have followers rather than managers and subordinates.
That's great. Yeah, I love it. So what does a typical day look like for you, or is there not a typical day?
Well, I'll tell you my typical week, which is this week. So, the kids went back to school today, so I have been... I'm obviously talking to you. I've done a few phone calls. I've done lots of admin. So today I've done a bit of blogging, that kind of stuff. So today's my home day. Tomorrow I'm working with a client. I'm with them all day, so I've got that prepped. Thursday I'm down in South Wales, so I'll be there. And then I always have Fridays off.
Great.
So I still, you know, I'm still on LinkedIn and I still check my emails and stuff, but I don't make any appointments because I know that I need that time to just calm my brain down and get everything sorted.
Yeah.
So I don't have a typical week. I mean, next week, for example, I'm down in London being a book judge for the Business Book Awards, which is always an amazing event.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to be amazing because I get to bring home about 20 brilliant books.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that'll be good. And then, I'm working with another client next week, and then I'm doing some one-to-one coaching as well. So for somebody like me who is very autonomous and likes variety, it works out perfectly. I think anybody who likes too much structure shouldn't be an entrepreneur. It's not going to work for them.
No, I can agree with you.
But when I'm at home, though, I tend to work 9 till 3. So when the kids come home, I can be mum.
Lovely.
And then I'm also a scout leader, so I'm doing that in the evenings and inspiring the young people to be the best that they can be. So I do it as a hobby, really.
I loved the Scouts. I loved them. I was the Beaver Cub and the Scouts. I absolutely loved it, to be honest. Yeah, I loved camping. We went to some brilliant places, canoeing, abseiling and all that stuff. You must get a lot from that.
I'm a scout leader that doesn't particularly like camping unless the weather's nice, but but I understand the value of it. So, But this is funny because people say to me, "What would you do if you weren't paid or you didn't need to be paid?" I'm like, well, I do it. I do it every week, every holiday. I take young people out and I help them learn and develop and grow and build character.
Wow.
So, yeah, my day job doing it with grown-ups means that I can then do it for free by volunteering with the young people.
Right.
So,
do you find similarities with do you find similarities with the kids and the adults, or are they,
huge. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
There is, honestly, I don't think we really have evolved much from being children.
Yeah.
We still have the same squabbles, we have the same fears, we just learn probably more tactics and also ways to mask and take control that as an adult, which I have to try and break all of that. And what I do love, a lot of my work that I do, I bring in a lot of play, so we do lots of activities, and quite a few of them we will do with the Scouts, and then I take that into the real life workplace. And I say, look, the Scouts did this in 6 minutes. And they're like, right, come on, we're going to do it. So it's brilliant, yeah. The kids are my greatest teachers. And then when you pass that back to the adults, it reminds them of who they used to be. It's brilliant.
Wow. No, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. A few more questions. You've kind of already covered it, but what would you say your goals for 2020 are?
Well, the first thing is obviously get the book launched, which is going to be a hell of a lot of work. I'm actually going to be launching my own podcast as well, which is talking about all the stuff, but really deep diving into each one of the topics. So that's going to be really interesting.
Yep, I'll be listening to
that. Thank you. Yeah. One of the things for me, one of my own things that I need to be coached on is being visible. So I'm really great standing in front of a room, but getting me out on social media has been terrifying. So trying to use my own language and being more me is one of my big goals.
Yeah.
And on a personal level, I want to do more travelling. So I'm hopefully in the summer holidays going to do some interrailing with my kids.
Wow.
Get the backpack and go off and see what happens.
Great. Well, it sounds very exciting. So much going on there, and wow. I mean, this was everything I'd hoped it would be. Actually, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's been a whirlwind. I think I've covered all the questions I had. Anything else that I had would be just going over and over again. But
well, if anybody wants to connect with me, they can do. They've just got to search my name, Lucy Barkas, or 3WH, and I'll happily have a chat with them too. But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Yep, thank you very much, Lucy. Appreciate it. Good luck for 2020. I'll put links in the description, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.